Alright, so I'm going to be going over some of the basic things that you need to include in a resume. The first one is the most obvious one. It's your work and volunteer history. But you should format this a very specific way. It should go the title of your job, so if you're a cook, the company, so whatever company you're working for, the place, city, comma, state, and then the start and end date. This way you can just kind of keep it all together in an organized way. Second thing you're going to include is 3 strengths about yourself. These could include things like hardworking, critical thinking, excellent team member, reliable, high achieving. But it's important to take some time to think about these 3 strengths because they help define your profile on a resume. So the third thing is going to be a short profile about yourself and what your professional interests are. Don't be intimidated by this. It can be fairly short, but it's just describing kind of what your passions are and why you're putting yourself out into the workplace, the type of person that you are. And then finally, the last thing is going to be extracurricular activities. And in this section, you're just going to include any sports or clubs you're in, anything that you did outside of Riverview that's not, or in Riverview that's not work or volunteer hours necessarily. Alright, so in order to find a good resume template, if you go ahead and open up Word, there should actually be something on your screen that says more templates, and Word actually has a bunch of preset resume templates. You can scroll through, watch out, some of them are cover letters and some of them are other things. Make sure that in the title it says resume, just that it's formatted specifically for what you're trying to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click on bold resume here. I'm going to double click that. It just pulls up this sheet that's got a bunch of preset stuff in it already. So it's already formatted so that I can put in what I need to put in. It's got all the important sections in it. So first, obviously, is going to be putting in your name, address, phone, and email. It's actually really important that you do include all this stuff. That way, the person that you're giving this resume to knows how to reach you in case they need to ask a question, set up an appointment, something like that. So this first section in this particular template, it said objective. I'm going to go ahead and change that to profile so that it kind of matches what we were talking about earlier. That's where you're going to put the basic intro to yourself, kind of what you're passionate about, what you want to do out of working. So I'm going to type in, I'm a hard worker who's looking for work that impacts the community. Something along those lines. Obviously, it's going to be a paragraph instead of just a sentence. And so the experience section is interesting because it's going to be formatted differently depending on the type of resume you're working with. So this one separates the employer, and then the next line it does the job title and date of employment. Earlier in this, I kind of formatted it so it's all in one line. That's totally up to you. Both are perfectly legitimate. It's probably going to end up being a spacing thing. If you have enough room to do it this way, then you can separate it out. If not, then I'd recommend trying to condense it. So yeah, you write the job title, the location, and then when you're writing a brief description, it's important to try to include the relevant skills that you showed in the job. So like if you were closing out at a cash register, you might put something like reliableness or trustworthiness. You're going to write a brief description there. So moving down to education, this is where you guys will write Riverview East Academy, class of 2020. If you're, an honor roll student, you can put that you're an honor roll student. And yeah, this is just where you put down as if you've gotten your high school diploma because you'll be getting that in about a month or so. Fingers crossed. Nah, just kidding. You guys are going to do fine. So yeah, once you've done the profile, experience, and education section, the last one, depending on what template you do, it'll say something different. I'm just going to put strengths here. so that it matches kind of what I was talking about earlier in the video. And then you don't want to just put the 3 strengths like hardworking. You want to instead try to include it in a sentence that kind of encompasses how you exemplify these skills. So instead, I'm going to put I'm a hard worker and always do my best to complete the task to the best of my abilities. You know, something like that, that kind of takes the strength and it puts it into an actionable sentence. So obviously we need 3 of them. I'm just going to list those out. Positive attitude. That's one that people like. And then yeah, I'll just put etc. for the last one. So basically, the gist of it is, once you complete all this stuff, then you'll at least have a working resume that you can add to over time. So it's important to save this somewhere where you can access it later. Oh, and then I forgot to include for the current job the dates that I've been working on. So I'm just going to put October 2019 to present. And so yeah, this is all the basic information that you're going to need to put on a resume. So yeah, now we'll go ahead and take a look at, this is actually my working resume at the moment. So you can see that it's formatted a little differently. I still have my name, email, phone number, and address there, except I actually split this into so I could fit more information on a little bit less space. I kind of condensed things down. So the profile, as you can see, it's one quick paragraph about who I am and kind of what I'm interested in. But then for experience, you'll see instead of splitting it up into 2 lines, it's all the titles on 1 line. Then I spend a little bit more time on the description of what I actually did. This just has to do with what you're comfortable with. At this point, if you're filling out the CSF application, really you just need a resume. It doesn't need to be perfect or anything. Down in education, you can see kind of the same as the last one. I just included my school and stuff. And at the bottom, I actually did skills instead of strengths, is how I worded that, but it's the same gist. Just including a couple sentences about what your strengths are.